thank you everyone for tuning in. And thank you, Jan, for that very kind introduction. So I will be talking about how we can tackle supermarket waste the smart way. Okay, so first off, let me introduce myself. So I'm Julie. I'm from the UK. I'm a software engineer, but I do have a background in finance and in banking. I'm also a self-proclaimed eco-warrior, which is why I decided to choose this as the topic of my talk. So let's get into it. Waste, right? Why is this so important at the moment? So I'm going to take you through some statistics so that we can really understand why waste is so important at the moment. Okay, so first off, 1.3 billion tons of food is wasted globally every single year. And 35% of food is just simply thrown away. So to put this into perspective, if you were at the supermarket and you bought a bunch of bananas, maybe 6 bananas, when you got home, you would immediately be throwing away 2 of the larger bananas. That's the kind of waste that we're talking about. And when we think about the population of the world, it's almost 8 billion people. We can't really afford to be wasting this much food. We need to move to something more sustainable because resources are finite. Then I also want to talk about plastic waste as well. So 300 million tons of plastic waste is produced every single year. And I'm sure in recent years, a lot of you have heard about like microplastics and about the problem with plastic bags in the ocean. We really do have quite a lot of problems with our waste management. So what can we do about it? There are many things, of course, that we can do about it, but I only have 25 minutes, so I'm only going to be talking about supermarkets and in particular about how smart technology can help us to combat supermarket waste. So smart technology. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this term before, but what does it actually mean? So the definition is basically self-monitoring analysis and reporting technology. And yeah, okay, we understand these words, but let's break it down a little bit more. So it's basically technology that allows inanimate objects to communicate and to talk back to us, and it also to guide our behavior. So we do encounter smart technology in our everyday lives. There are things like smart wearables, you've got smartphones, you've got smart appliances as well, smart TVs, and things like smart fridges, smart toasters. I'm pretty sure you can buy anything with smart technology these days. So I'll be looking at 5 different smart technologies and 4 different case studies of different companies that use these smart technologies and how they can help with combating supermarket waste. Looking at, in particular, 3 different things: inventory management, reducing packaging, and reducing spoilage of produce. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be looking at is computer vision. And I'll be talking about a company called Neurolabs. Then I'm going to look at RFID and NFC technology, and we'll look at a company called Miwa. Then we'll look at laser labeling by a company called Laser Food and their brand Natural Branding. And lastly, we'll talk about dynamic pricing and a company called Wasteless. Okay, so let's go to the first company, and that's Neurolabs, and we'll talk about computer vision. So Neurolabs basically uses computer vision for the real-time monitoring of stock. But wait a minute, what is computer vision? So it basically does what it says on the tin. It's the computer equivalent of human vision. It requires large quantities of data. It uses things like pictures, photographs, video, stills of video, things like that. That's the kind of data that it requires. And the data is used by algorithms. The algorithms interpret the data. And the purpose of computer vision is basically to automate tasks that are undertaken by people usually. So this is what computer vision usually looks like. So this is obviously from a camera feed. The algorithms then identify the different things on the feed. So it's identifying cars, people, and bicycles. Okay, but what about Neuralabs? What do they do? What is different about them? How do they use computer vision? So they are a little bit different. They actually create 3D models of different items. And then they use those models to generate synthetic data. And then that data is used to train the algorithms. So this is a lot more cost effective and a lot less time consuming than traditional methods. So they're really innovating the field of computer vision. Okay, so let's have a look at an example of how they use it specifically. So they do actually use it in manufacturing as well, but I'm going to look at their supermarkets. So if you look at the top image, you can see that the camera picks up where the stock is fully stocked, and also areas where there is low stock or no stock. So that's highlighted in red on the image. So they also use real-time big data analysis. So that's the third image. So the image down at the bottom that you can see there. And how is this good for waste reduction? So it's efficient management of stock. Stock can be replenished faster because it's identified in real time when it needs to be replaced. It's really important because of the shelf life of stock, the expiry dates, and because it's always being analyzed, no stock is going to be forgotten or misplaced. Then in regards to the big data analysis, it can identify stock sales levels and the quantities that are needed. The information can also be used for historical data analysis so that we can project what future trends would be. And this will also feed back up through the supply chain, right? Because they'll only be ordering in advance the things that they're going to need down the line. So then production will be set at a level that's necessary. So this is going to stop waste, yeah, at the supermarket level, but it's also going to feed back through the supply chain. Okay, next we're going to look at RFID and NFC technology, and we'll look at Miwa. So this is a company based in the Czech Republic. Right, so RFID technology, this is radio frequency identification. Maybe you've heard about it before. It's been used for a long time. It's usually used in things like inventory management, personnel tracking, and access control. So things like security cards for doors. Basically, what it does is it stores some kind of identification on the RFID tag, which is then picked up by a scanner. The scanner usually will be the power source as well for the RFID. It can be read up to 100-meter distance, and it can scan. These can be scanned. Multiple ones can be scanned simultaneously. So it's a really interesting tool for tracking things. Okay, so where may you have seen this in your everyday life? So this is an RFID tag, which is from a clothing tag. Maybe when you go to a store, you'll see these like security scanners at the entrance. Those scanners are used to pick up RFID. So you have definitely encountered this kind of technology before. And Miwa uses this in their warehouses. Okay, so what about NFC? So NFC is near field communication. The distance is a lot smaller than when compared to RFID, about 2 centimeters to 4 centimeters. It is based on RFID protocols, but it's used, just one can be scanned at a time. It's often used for like things like cashless payments. So where might you have seen this before in your everyday life? If you were to open up your IC card, you might find something like this. This is an NFC card. So yeah, it may not look like it from the outside of your Suica or something, but that's what it looks like on the inside if you were curious. Okay, so what about Miwa's actual system and how do they use these two technologies? They have a circular system of reusable capsules. It has 4 components. You've got the modular shelf, which is where the product is actually housed. So these are placed in the stores or supermarkets, for example, and each one has a certain number of smart capsules, which can be filled with different products, for example, rice or pasta or something like that, or nuts. And then it's put into the modular shelf. Then the customer can purchase a smart cup, which has the NFC technology on the front of it, and that is then used to like beep against the smart capsule. Data is transferred between the two to say what the product is, and the information about how much is going into the cup is also recorded. So when the smart cup is put on the bottom and the product is dispensed into the cup, this information is then also sent to the cloud, and it is accessed by the Miwa app, which then details how much it has been purchased, and the customer can then pay for the product. So there doesn't need to be a cash register. It's all just done through the app. So how does this reduce waste? So it does it in a few different ways. Labels are no longer necessary because the NFC tag, smart label, is the label. Packaging is also no longer necessary because the cup is the packaging. So it's zero waste type thing. The cup can also be recycled at its end of life, which I think is really cool. So consumer side product waste is also reduced because customers will only purchase what they want. So you don't need to throw away those 2 bananas. Like, you can just buy what you need. And then it's also very good for inventory monitoring. This is the RFID. When the capsules are put in and out of the warehouse, the RFID tag is read on the pallet, and that information is then recorded in their databases. Okay, so because the products are always being tracked, we always know where they are because of these technologies. If there's any spoilage or there needs to be any recall, we can easily take just that batch out because we know exactly where it is. It's all labeled electronically. So what about the Miwa app? How is that of a benefit to us? So it increases customer satisfaction. So a lot of customers, I think, or a lot of people are really interested in zero waste and in reducing their own environmental impact. So using this technology, I think really increases customer satisfaction. Product details, including the expiry date and any allergen information, is all stored on the app and is easily accessible by the customer. So if you had a label, like the label could get dirty or might be difficult to read, you're not going to have that problem with the app because it's very easy to read on there. The app also has reviews, so you can write a review about products, you can read reviews. And then there's also the potential for inspiration for customers using the app. And lastly, customers and the company can also track the waste reduction and the things that they're saving by using this. Okay, so let's move on to laser labeling. So this one I think is really interesting. They use this type of equipment as shown on the screen here, and individual fruit and vegetables are taken and put into this equipment, and then a microscopic area of skin is removed from the fruit or vegetable, and then the label information is printed directly onto that fruit or vegetable. The way that it's done as well is done in such a way that it won't impact the integrity of the fruit or vegetable's skin, so it's not going to decrease the life of the fruit or vegetable. Okay, so usually if you go to the supermarket and you want to buy something, for example, a nice delicious avocado, you'd find a kind of ugly looking sticker stuck to it. But with laser labeling, it's going to look something like this. They can print different designs, different information, whatever they want. It looks much more appetizing and more interesting, I think. You also aren't going to lose the label because it's right there on the vegetable or the fruit. Okay, so how is this going to impact waste reduction? So again, labels are no longer necessary, so we're reducing that type of waste. packaging is also no longer necessary. Well, you often find things that are pre-packaged, like a bag of apples or something like that. You're not going to need that anymore because everything's printed directly onto the fruit or vegetable. Okay, again, consumers can buy what they need, similar to Miwa. And it also encourages the use of local and seasonal produce. So in this respect, because there's less travel time for the fruit and vegetable, you're going to have less spoilage, less damage in transit, and the fruit and vegetable is going to lose fewer of its nutrients. We also have less waste in distribution and in warehousing because it doesn't need to be stored. It can go from farm to supermarket. Okay, and it also reduces spoilage in the sense of the prepackaged items. So in supermarkets, if one thing in the bag spoils, then the whole bag gets thrown away. They can't just open the bag, take out the spoiled item and throw that away. They throw the whole bag away. But in this case, everything is loose, so it doesn't need to all be thrown away. You just throw away the one thing. Okay. Next, we're going to look at dynamic pricing and a company called Wasteless. So this one is a really innovative thing as well. It's very new. It's an Israeli company. It's AI-based, has an electronic tag system, and the price is auto-adjusted. So you can see in this image here, this is what the electronic tag looks like. You can see that there are two dates, and one date, which has the shorter shelf life, is actually a lower price. It's a bit cheaper. The thing with the longer price, with the higher price, has a longer shelf life. So when a customer or when all of one thing is purchased, then it automatically updates, and the price will change or disappear. Okay. So something else, because this is a very new kind of technology, something else that Wasteless does is that they, so this is actually in a shop in Poland. They use very clear signage so that customers can really understand what this new technology is showing them and how they should be interacting with it and making their decisions, or just informing their decisions maybe. So it was actually, as I said, it's very new. It was actually piloted in an Italian store just last year. And very interestingly, I think 41% of shoppers chose that cheaper product over the more expensive product. So how does this reduce waste? This reduces spoilage. I don't know about you guys watching, but for me, sometimes when I go to the supermarket, if I'm presented with one product and I can see that the dates are different, I'm going to reach to the back to get the thing that has the longer date, because it seems like it's better value for money because you're paying the same price for something that's going to last longer. But with this, people can make that choice themselves based on the price as well. They can choose to, or they know how quickly they can use something, and they can make that decision about whether they're going to choose something that has the longer shelf life but is slightly more expensive, or if they can eat it quicker, then takes the thing with the cheaper price. So this, of course, is going to increase the turnover of things with the shorter shelf life, because people can make that decision. So spoilage will be decreased. It also reduces stigma. So a lot of the time when something is reduced, the supermarket will put big stickers onto the item, like big yellow stickers or red stickers or something, and things may even be moved to different places in the supermarket to have like a reduced section. This is very easy for customers to identify, like other customers to identify. And that means there could be some kind of stigma to purchasing these types of items. But with this, everything is just together. It's in the original place. Nobody knows if you're buying the cheaper item. It doesn't matter. The stigma factor is gone. Okay, and as I mentioned, those labels that are used, they're not going to be needed anymore because the labels are electronic tags. It's not necessary anymore. So that also reduces waste. Okay. So in summary, we looked at computer vision and how that can be used for inventory and shelf management. We looked at RFID tech and again, how that can be used for inventory management. We looked at NFC tech and how that's used with smart refillable containers. And then laser labeling, which can reduce the need for prepackaged items and also reduce spoilage. And then also dynamic pricing, which is the electronic tags, which again can reduce spoilage. Okay. If you would like to learn any more about the things that I talked about, then please feel free to visit these further resources. And if you have any questions or would like to discuss anything with me, then please find me on the following. You can find me on GitHub at Dawn Darkness or on LinkedIn with my name, Julie Stocks, or using this tag. Okay, thank you very much.